Hello, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me. Looks like I'm the only one here today, so unfortunately you have to bear with me. But welcome to Ruby Tuesday 90. That's quite a big number. If you calculate it, I think it'll be around 7.5 years worth of meetup, because we do this once every month, right? So 12 a year. That will roughly be 7.5. Anyway, again, welcome to Ruby Tuesday 90. I guess I'll just get started then, since it's just me. Yep, so Ruby Tuesday is brought to you by engineers.my as well as the KL Ruby Brigade. Follow us on Facebook if you're interested in looking for Ruby jobs or just interested in Ruby in general. Please follow us on Facebook. Meetup is where we post all the events details. So if you want to, for example, would like to speak or you want to find out more about the monthly meetup is the place where we post all the event details. GitHub for code-related stuff. Slack as well. I think a lot of us are on Slack. So if you want to say hi or you want to chat, or if you are looking for a job, there's a jobs channel there as well. Or you just, if you're on the other side looking for engineers, it's a good place to advertise as well. We use Discord from time to time, especially for our code clinic, or when we don't have like presentation meetups, then we just hang out in Discord during those events. All right. Hello, everybody. I'm Gui. I'm one of the co-organizers of Ruby KL. So yeah, hopefully we only have one talk today, which is by me as well, which I'm going to talk about Derail benchmark gems a bit on my experience using it. But I don't foresee this will be a very long session, so just chill back, I guess, if you just want to listen. Quick reminders. Your profile name, profile picture, or comment might show up on the stream, especially like if you're asking a question, we might highlight it in the stream. So just keep that in mind. Reminder two, we follow the Ruby Community Conduct Guideline. So this is our event code of conduct. So please read through this and also ensure that you kind of adhere to this code of conduct. Hiring shoutouts. I don't have anything in particular. I did right before the start of this. I did see a few on Facebook. So again, if you would like to join the Facebook group, let me just type the links in the comments, so it might be easier. This is the one. Yep. So yeah, you can directly click that and go to Facebook. I think there is a approval process in place. I don't quite remember. I don't hang on as much on Facebook. So yeah. Okay, so yeah, there are a few jobs between last meetup and now that was posted on there. So if you're looking for Ruby on Rails opportunities, definitely go check out the Facebook group. I don't think there's any new postings in the Slack channel. So yeah. Okay, so like I mentioned, today will be just me. And I'll just briefly share about some time I spent playing around with the Derail benchmark gem. Give me a quick moment. Slides. No, I want to see chat as well. Hold on, let me window. Okay, cool. This is a lot better. But it doesn't. Let me cover. No, it doesn't. Oh, okay. Sorry then. I guess you have to notice there's like red sidebars on the side. This doesn't go full screen. Or can it? Okay, this is a lot better. All right. So yeah, I'll be talking about my experience playing around with the Derail benchmark gem, mostly because I was interested to find out how much memory does gems in Rails use. I'm gonna talk about my journey about it. So nothing super technical or super detailed inside here. It's really just like a quick run through of what I've done. Yeah. So about me, I'm a Rails software engineer. I work on multiple Rails systems right now, and yeah, that's kind of about it. You can follow me on Ghost to Human on almost all social media, which includes Twitter and GitHub as well. All right, so as I mentioned earlier, I was playing around with the Derail benchmark gem because I had this question in my mind on like, how much memory does each gem in Rails use? If you're not familiar with Rails, it's basically a web application framework. And inside Rails, there are actually a lot of gems that handles different functionalities. Uh, but if you are not familiar with Gem, you might have heard. Sorry, if you're not familiar with Rails, you might have heard of Active Record mentioned a lot. Right? That's like the model part in the MVC. Then there's active support, which are common use extension and utilities, and we have active jobs, so jobs and queuing and all that sort of thing. Right. So Rails comes with all these specialties included, so you can kind of quickly get your app up and running. So I was curious on how much memory would one of these gem use up? For example, when you're running the Rails app, is it really that when, let's say, you can disable certain gems, let's say you don't have the requirement or need for receiving and sending emails, right? And you take mailbox and action mailer out, does it really use less memory, or is there a significant usage of memory as well when they are running but not being used? So that was kind of the question I had in my mind. So to kind of look into that, I found the real benchmarks gem. I think it's commonly used for benchmarking like memory usage and that sort of thing. It's a benchmarking gem. And there are two kind of benchmark modes that the real benchmark supplies. So one is static benchmark, which it gets kind of like the gem's memory information from gem file itself without having to boot the app. There is also like a dynamic benchmark where actually you require like a production Rails app, and then the real benchmark then runs benchmarks against it. So let's get started. So how I started was I created a new Rails 7 project, everything default. And I added the real benchmark gems and run a static benchmark. Not when I say everything default, it's like really just Rails new, and with the database being Postgres. I think that was the only configurable option that I used, and everything else there wasn't any other things that were specifically configured. All right, so I did that, and I want to have a comparison, right? So that the previous one where everything is default serves as like the benchmark serves as the baseline. Yeah, baseline would be a better word. Serves as the baseline to compare with. And then I wanted a comparison where, okay, I'll do the same thing again. I'll create a Rails 7 project with everything default, with DB, with Postgres, but I skip action mailbox installation. So in Rails new, in using the Rails new command, you can kind of skip gems installation. And in this case, I use the skip action mailbox option. So same thing, I'll add the real benchmark gem and then I'll run a static benchmark. I guess we can kind of look at the results. So once I won't go into like how to install a gem and that sort of thing. That's inside their README. You can kind of follow through. But I do want to show like what were kind of like the results I got from running a static benchmark from the real benchmark gems. So once you have the real benchmark installed, you can just bundle exec the real bundle mem. This will look for the memory usage using static benchmarks. So you can see like for example here, is it big enough? Let me just zoom in a bit more. Like all of Rails uses 58 megabyte of RAM, and then it breaks down to like each of it. There's action mailbox, mail. I think you can see quite a few things as well. Active support is here. Action dispatch, active storage. Right, these are kind of in memory based on what it can gather from the gem file. So yeah, so this was it. This was kind of the result from the static benchmark. Okay, let me get back to the slides. I guess that breaks the thing. Okay. So now they have two, right? One is the baseline where everything is default, and I run a static benchmark. So what we saw earlier was the default one with everything. Sorry, it's Rails 7 with everything default. And then another one where I use as comparison is again Rails 7 new default, except I skip action mailbox. So what I expected to happen is, right, since I skip action mailbox installation, that means less memory will be used, right? Unfortunately, that's not really the case. what actually happened was there were actually no changes to the benchmark's results, and that was really really surprising. I still see action mailbox in the benchmark results. I was like, okay, what was going on then? Why am I still seeing action mailbox? I know I skipped action mailbox. Why is action mailbox still being there? Oops, do I have to? Okay, in place. Okay, so like, what's going on, right? I don't really understand what's going on. So after looking through, doing some googling as well, trying to understand better on the static benchmark in the real benchmark, what I found out was that the real benchmarks, static benchmarks, only look at gem file and the log file, right? And in Rails new, when you use the skip command, it doesn't actually remove it from the gemfile.log. It's actually still there. It still exists in gemfile.log. But instead, it is commented out in applications.rb. So if you're a Rails user, for example, you would know about application.rb. And when you do Rails new and skip whatever, what it does is it still have the gem installed as part of gemfile.log, but in like load time, it's not required. So for example, here, this is the one where, oh, it doesn't show my mouse. This is the one where I skip action mailbox. So you see here, it comments out require action mailbox / engine. Fine. Okay, static benchmark doesn't really answer my question. Let's try dynamic benchmark now. So just to preface this, I won't show the results to the dynamic benchmarking. It's actually quite similar to static benchmarking as well. And also it shows like a lot of information on the app itself. And also one thing was that you kind of required to load the app up in like production, like Rails EMV. So I kind of have to like set up a proper app and get it running and all. So just to prevent any leak of information, I'll not show the results. But it's very, very similar to what we saw earlier with the static benchmarking. Yeah, so as I was saying, dynamic benchmarking is better than static benchmarking for sure because you're getting a live app to run traffic, for example. But dynamic benchmarking, what it does is it actually will hit a specific endpoint. Right, you require to pass it an endpoint. I think by default it just hits like index. So you can configure a specific endpoint to use, which means that the results obtained is actually path dependent. And through my testing, I kind of noticed this as well, where if I just hit index that doesn't do anything, the memory usage is low. But at the same time, if I, for example, has something that is dependent on mailbox or mailer, then you can see the memory usage kick that goes higher because of the usage of the gem. Another thing that I was kind of wondering was, what about background jobs? This sort of thing. Again, like I'm not answering all these questions here. It's more like these were the things that I was thinking about when I was trying to run the real benchmark, dynamic benchmarking. Actually, my intention, my purpose, all purpose and intention for this talk is really just to like, I tried this. Like, if you're interested in knowing some more things, then look into it. But these were some of the caveats that I hit, right? So yeah, it took me a while to figure this out. Yeah, actually, again, this for me, this is like a very short talk. But pretty much wrapping it up is like benchmarking is pretty cool and also very complex as well. You kind of have to understand your requirements when it comes to benchmarking. What are you benchmarking? Why are you benchmarking? Hey, just to find out like memory usage or process time or that sort of thing. So I definitely encourage looking into it. For me, I just barely scratched the surface with this talk. It's probably not as detailed or technical as some of you might expect it to be, but I just really want to like present this thing and just share what I've worked on. I haven't done much after that already, which kind of brings me to my second point. I think like application performance monitoring, APM, might be a lot better to obtain information from production. And let's say you really want to know like how much memory an app is using, right? Instead of running this benchmarking, if you have APM and NPM installed and running, then maybe you can use the information gathered through the APM to like give you a more holistic view and better judgment on like what to improve. A lot of times APMs also not just like show memory usage and whatnot. A lot of times, like a good thing to have is like query, the time query takes, right? Database queries takes, for example, and some APMs will highlight that, oh, this query is super long. Maybe you can try deal some paid APMs will give a suggestion on, hey, try indexing or maybe you can do something with this query or that sort of thing. So it doesn't have to be a very complex query, and can you get data more straightforward and reduce the query time. Yeah, really, that's about it. These are some of the links that I use. So earlier I showed the benchmark output, right? So I also include as a link here. You can check out the real benchmark gem if you want. And also on like the whole, I already disabled this action mailbox or action text gem through Rails new skip, but it's still showing up. Again, like I say, it's because gemfile.log still has those gems, and whether it's loaded in memory or not is kind of controlled by applications.rb. Yeah, that's about it actually. I don't expect any questions, to be frank, because this is like so very, very much surface level. But if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. I'll probably hang out for another 2-3 minutes. If there's nothing, we can just end this meetup. Yeah, I think that's it. Thanks for listening. I'm not sure how useful is that, but I really just want to share like, this is what I tried, and this was the assumptions that I had going in, and I had this problem. So yeah. Okay, parking lot. Parking lot is usually like we get anyone, if anyone wants to share anything they recently done, or something they learn about Ruby or Rails or anything within the sphere. Feel free to put in a comment if there's something you learned recently. For me, yeah, I don't think there's anything like something I learned, something new I learned, something that I could share. Oh, hi Hilo. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Nice to see you here as well. Yeah, parking lot. Anything else to talk about? Yeah, I don't think I have anything to share. I haven't been working on anything new recently. So yeah, I guess we can move on. Oops. Okay. All right, that's about it. Well, this is a very good example on like if you want to hear more variety of talks, or if you work on anything at all, or you have stumbled along something interesting, or there's something new that you've tried, you play with, and you feel like sharing. I definitely encourage. We are always looking for speakers, and as you can see, my quality of talk earlier, I wouldn't say it's like top tier. But for me, meetup is very chill kind of thing, and for me, it's more like sharing an experience. Like, I did this, so maybe you don't have to hit all this problem when you try it on. Maybe this jam might solve something. I think a similar mindset I had when I did the Flipper Jam talk as well, right? Hey, there's this thing called Flipper Jam. If you don't know about it, it helps you do feature flagging and whatnot, that sort of thing. So coming back to it, feel free if you want to try to give a talk, or if you ever have a talk on like, I want to give a talk, but I'm worried that it's not technical enough, or I'm worried about the length of the talk or whatnot. I think just feel free, come and join, or just reach out to me. You can find me in Slack. I am in the Discord server as well. Just PM me. Then we can have a discussion on like how we can get you on. One thing I learned about this is how to disable action mailbox. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, so that's kind of about it. I wish I thought it was about 2 weeks ago. But unfortunately, we only do this once a month. A link to the is so handy. See, this is the reason why I kind of like want to talk about this as well, right? Like, hopefully, someone will learn something, even though it's not technical. And this is what I encourage everyone to do. Right? If don't feel that your talk has to be like super technical, super detailed. It could just be a simple, this is what I learned thing, and just share. And you never know, someone would like actually benefit from what you share. So I really encourage. Because I don't really want to always be the only speaker. And I would definitely like more diversity in terms of like topics and content and even the community, right? So please feel free to PM me, or even Tristan or Gui from Ruby Penang, right? Just hit any one of us. There is a RFP channel in Slack as well. So if you're really interested to give a talk and not sure how to get started, that's a good place to like ping people, and we can start chatting about it as well. Yeah. So this week is a short one, Right, my other partner in crimes are not here. No worries. But I hope to see everybody next month. Yeah, next month, early July. What's the date? Oh, let me check. So we usually do it first Tuesday of the month if it's your first time here. So most likely it'll be 5th of July. Hopefully we'll have more interesting talks rather than just me sharing experience. But yeah, thanks to everybody who dropped by. I don't think any questions or yeah, if anybody wants to chat, no, we are always available in Slack or Discord. Just PM us there. And Helio, thanks for dropping by so much. We've been chatting, right? And yeah, I guess that's it. Let's not drag it out too long. Thank you everyone for coming. I'll see you all next month. Bye.